there everybody, and welcome to my final video. For the balcony season 2021, that is. Going to scare you a little bit. I felt like getting into October, more autumn, chilly and then colder and darker. I felt like there may not be that many more days left that are sunny and with the right temperature to sit outside on the balcony. So I felt like it was a good idea to to end the balcony season 2021 with this video. And what better way to do it than do it with a contest response for you, Nick Rudows. Hello there. You have a contest to push to 700 subscribers, but I saw that you right now by far have passed that number, so I guess that this contest response may then be a little bit unnecessary. So with that, I thank you for watching, everybody, and no, just kidding. But you have a contest where you want us to show 5 cover songs that are better than the original, at least 5. And I felt it was a very nice challenge. There are many reasons, I guess, for why a cover song feels better than the original. And one of them are, for people like me who are grown up with 80s, 90s and forward, it might be that, and I guess many others also, that it might be because you are grown up with the cover version. You maybe know that it's a cover, but you haven't heard the original. And with that, you feel like the cover version is better, actually, even after you have heard the original. So and there are many cases with that for me, actually. But we'll see. I have picked together 10 songs that are covers and that are, in my opinion, better than the originals for various reasons. Starting with some different covers. What I feel is a great cover is when they manage to do something completely unique and special with the cover version comparing to the original. There are far too many, there were far too many that at least in the beginning of the 80s that tried to do a cover version, and it sounded not that unlike the original, and then the cover version felt unnecessary. But here is a different cover that I really do like. We're starting in the dance music genre, the modern dance music genre. This is from 2003, and it's by Finnish group Dallas Superstars. A really great band that unfortunately doesn't make music all that much anymore. I really think their energetic dance music were really great. They made a dance, or should I say Euro trance version of Donna Summer's I Feel Love. And I'm no huge fan of the original, because Donna Summer and JorgenS, I've never been a fan of that combination. It feels like fake soul music. I don't know. I feel like it's pretty cheesy. So it was really great to hear this newer, fresher version by Finnish Dallas Superstars. So this one, in my opinion, is better than the original. Here we have a version that completely separates itself from the original. Original were made by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't think that one is that interesting, because I'm no huge fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers, little fuzzy rock music. But I'm not saying that it's a horrible version, horrible original, but it is not that interesting. It's not something that I will put on. I think it's a boring song. And there are many other versions also of this song. All Saints, for one instance, for one thing. But my favorite of the song, as you might have guessed which song I'm talking about, of Under the Bridge. My favorite version is by a band called Genocide 2. This is a British, I think, studio project that were into dance music, a lot of trip hop and that kind of music. That normally isn't my kind of music, but this is actually a very good album. And Under the Bridge here is in a trip hop garage style music that actually is so different and really interesting with this melody that it actually sounds better than the original, in my opinion. Here is there are of course some that are not that unusual, pretty ordinary choices for some. ZZ Top. I don't have the single for this song, but I guess it's okay with this one also. We have, of course, Elvis Presley's Viva Las Vegas. While Elvis Presley's version is Go Happy song, I like ZZ Top because it's, of course, heavier and more groove in it. So, in my opinion, Viva Las Vegas by ZZ Top is better than Elvis original. Some of these, of course, are for many controversial. There are some artists that, if you want to keep your dignity and your career intact, you may not do covers of them. At least not those that may sound better than the original, or that at least give your total admiration for the original in the media. There are some that whenever you say is that this is better than the original, you get people, no way, they are holy cows. But I can't help it. I think this one is better than the original. So please forgive me, all Beatles fans. I know there are a lot of you here in the vinyl community. I'm not saying that this is a bad original. It is an okay original. But when I heard Tina Turner's version of Help, I was really knocked out. When she starts with her and the piano, sounds really, really relaxing, great, and then comes up with almost a gospel feeling, and was so amazing arranged. This is from the Private Dancer album, I think, and Wilton Felder from the Crusaders have been involved in the production, and in my opinion, Help by Tina Turner is better than Beatles original. I know that not many may agree with me, but that's the way I feel. Maybe this also is a little controversial for some. I don't know how Elvis feels when it comes to being a holy cow for some, but I mentioned Viva Las Vegas, but it would be foolish of me not to mention. I know that Elvis is not the original, but he's one of the most famous versions. The original of this was made by Gwen McRae back in 1972. But it would be foolish of me not to include Pet Shop Boys' Always on My Mind. So those of you who feel like, is he bashing Elvis? No, I'm bashing Gwen McRae. But I feel like this synth pop disco version is so great. Normally, when you do a cover of a ballad that you speed up in a disco tempo, it sounds very, very wrong. There are many examples of that. Bryan Adams' Everything I Do was covered by Sarah Washington back in 1993, and it sounded very wrong with a disco version. But here Pet Shop Boys have managed to do a song that definitely stands on its own 2 feet. That definitely sounds like it could be their own song, but still is a cover. And I fell in love with this from the first time I heard it back in 1987 when it was released, and I have loved it until then. It's a fantastic, fantastic version and song. Always on my mind, Pet Shop Boys. Here is another 80s. We're into a phase now with 80s covers. This one was originally made by Robert Hazard. I've listened to it, I think, once or twice. I wasn't that impressed by it. Maybe that also is in this case, that when I heard this the first time and I liked it, I didn't even know it wasn't a cover actually. I was when this was released back in 1983, I was 8 years old, going 9. And it didn't. It wasn't written with neon lights that it was a cover during my life. So it was very late that I found out that it actually is a cover. Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. And I actually think that this is actually a really fun version. Cyndi Lauper is very catchy, very happy style, and girl power, and I think it's a charming and great song. A little overplayed maybe, but definitely a really, really great song. In my opinion, better than the original by Robert Hazard. In 1980, there was a song released that was a part of the then very new wave synth pop era, and that became a huge hit. I'm talking about Lips Incorporated's Funky Town, that years later was released in a new version, in my opinion much better version, by Australian Pseudo Echo. This one has a whole lot of more groove. It is heavier. Not saying that Lips Inc. is bad, but it's definitely overplayed, and I feel like this one is so much heavier and better. From a great album, Love and Adventure. Check that out. An 80s forgotten classic. Sticking with the 80s, at least when it comes to the cover version. I'm having an 80s song, a cover of I think it's 60s or 50s cover version. Original were made by Barbara Gay. I had to read. I like many others also felt like the original was made by Millie Small, but she wasn't first with this one. It was somebody called Barbara Gay, and the cover version came back in 1982 and is released by a great album called Forehead by Bad Manners. And you understand that I'm talking about My Boy Lollipop, or as they have called it, My Girl Lollipop. The original is pretty cheesy, childish song. I've never been that much fan of it. It was a great time for it back in the 60s and 50s. But this one is filled with humor, comedy, and great energy. The ska version of My Girl Lollipop. And Buster Bloodvessel is extremely funny artist, maybe one of the most funniest artists I know, one of the most energetic artists I know. He's a maniac, live at least, performing in order to entertain a crowd. And this version is definitely a good proof of that, how we managed to take this little childish, overplayed evergreen and turn it into a real funny comedy ska version. 90s, I picked only a few 90s, and that depends on how you count it. But in this case, it is 90s version of a 60s song. Original by Badfinger, I think. Harry Nilsson also made it. However, I think either those two versions are actually bad. I think that Harry Nilsson's version is extremely cheesy. I have a hard time listening to his crying voice. But when Mariah Carey came with Without You back in 1994, my jaw was down on the floor. How amazing, arranged by Walter Afanasieff it was, how magnificent she sings, Mariah Carey, and how she managed to do this on her as her own song actually. Amazing version. Definitely, I consider this one of the best songs ever. I know that not many will agree with me, but I stand for it. I really like this version. Well, jazz then. Well, that actually was a bit tough. Not because it's lacking of cover version, but because the entire genre is filled with cover versions, so to say. There are versions upon versions upon versions of different kind of jazz standards. The Duke Ellington songbook have been made numerous times in numerous versions, and every one of those after Duke Ellington's original are seen as cover versions, of course. So it would be a little bit easy to take the regular jazz songs. But I picked something that are a bit different actually. And it's from this album, Jazz and the 90s. This is an album released 2006 where jazz artists and or jazz groups are doing cover versions of songs from the 90s. Their own versions, really unique versions. Now, I'm not going to say that all of these are better than the originals. Frankly, this is a great album. I think this is a very great album, but it's mostly because they are so unique and fun to hear the arrangement they have made of the 90s songs. The jazz arrangements they have made to this song actually. But many cases the originals are actually then of course in the league of their own, seen as more as a fun and really well made experiment. But there are of course some exceptions where the covers are not originals aren't all that interesting. And my prime example here is a song that I hated from the beginning, and hearing a cover version in jazz was really refreshing. There are another great jazz version actually of this song made by Paul Anka, because Paul Anka has also made an album where he with big band covers famous modern pop songs, including this song. But I don't have that album actually in original. So I picked this one because this is also a great version. I'm talking about Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, here in a version with group Ituana. And Ituana here have made a version that actually it's very laid back nightclub feeling with the singer trying her best to sound like Marilyn Monroe with whispering song and maybe a little cheesy to attempt to do that, but the original is horrible. It's one of my hate songs, biggest hate songs ever. So of course every version that actually every cover version is better than the original. There is also one genre of songs that are better than the original. When a song is so horrible that every attempt to do it better is welcome, as in this case. And it's really fun to hear it. It's a really odd and fun version of Smells Like Teen Spirit that I really think is really good. So you can see here also the other songs that they have made their versions of. So, I hope with that you are satisfied, Nick Rudows, and that you and everybody else have a really, really nice time. I will be back pretty soon. You know why? Because Saturday the 2nd, it is record fair. Yeah! After 2 long years, I can go to a record fair again. Hooray! It is record fair here in Sundsvall again. So it will be very interesting to see where that actually, what comes out of that. So, with that, take care everybody, have a real nice time, and see ya!